to think what you want to think. It's okay that other people don't think the way you think. You know what? We need to put this division away. And we need to unite more than ever. In this movement, in the right movement, I see things that I don't like. And that's the division within us. The reason why we're not as powerful as we need to be is because we're not united like we should be. We're not organized like we should be. And we need to get to that point, and we need to get to that point quickly. It's time to unite, folks. It's time to put our differences aside, put our personalities aside, stop wanting to get in front of the microphone and the camera, and let's start really doing something and making a difference, because our country depends on it. Senator Janae Shamp interviewed me a couple weeks ago when I took her down to the border. And she asked me, what are the things that keep me awake at night? And I said, I told her, I says, that I die knowing that I didn't leave this place, a better place for my kids and my grandkids. Duty as an American that you're supposed to do. And that's what we need to do, folks. We need to turn this country back around, and we need grandchildren and their grandchildren, so they don't have anything to worry about.
Sean Wilson, thank you so much, Sean. I love you. You're awesome. And you are healthy and strong, and the precious blood of Jesus is your shield and protector. We just pray for healing over you.
Thank
in
you.
Jesus' name, amen.
Yes, thank you.
Love you so much.
Thank you.
You're amazing. All right.
Guys.
Thank you, Sean. A hand for Sean. Yeah, let me take your mic. I got 3 mics. Don't worry, they're all coming back on. Okay, so you glad you're here? Do you understand that you were chosen to be here? Live stream. The ones meant to hear this message today. That means you were the ones chosen to take action and spur one another on towards love and good deeds, doing the right thing. Now, Scotty, wow, I'm kind of blown away. It's like,
how do you, is this working? No.
But it's working in the sense that live stream's listening.
Oh, okay.
So just speak all. She's in the back of the room by the food, and she has a hearing aid on. Can you talk to her back there?
Hi, Grandma. Look, how do you go after a Sean Wilson? How do you move? Who's pretty darn good in his own right. He can tell us a lot about what to do on the local impact on the border. He's been there. He is running for Congress, I believe, the 28th district in Texas, right?
Yes.
Southern. He'll tell us the 28th district of Texas. He was a vaccine whistleblower. He's now blowing the whistle on the border, and this is the kind of guy we want to put in Congress all across the country. Please welcome Commander Jay Furman.
Woo, Commander! Woo.
So I want this one.
Got it.
All right.
Got it. Thanks, Commander.
Appreciate you. Howdy, how y'all doing? Can you hear me in the back? All right, thanks for that kind introduction. I am going to scream, so sorry to the mic, but I want you guys to hear it because you are the remnant as mentioned, and Christ began with 12 disciples. There's over 2.5 trillion Christians in the world right now. Okay, so a waterfall begins with 1 drop. All right, that's here. That's going to start a crescendo into November. Okay, we're going to unite, as Sean so well said. And so right now is the time to do that, become informed, and become active. Done. I retired from the military after 28 years, moved back to my home state of Texas. Right before because things weren't right. The day they instituted that, August 2021, I just started writing. 48 hours later, I had a white paper that no one wanted to pay attention to. And I tried to write it in a way that didn't matter what your belief system was. It was a strategic argument that, hey, half the folks in the military have decided not to take this shot because we don't know what we don't know, and half had. Let's stop there. You went to high school science. We need a control group so we can drive the tanks, fly the airplanes, sail the ships, and keep this country protected. No one wanted to listen to that. white paper might have gotten pushed over to a news outlet. It might have gone viral, and then still people weren't listening. So I went on Tucker Carlson, and then things got really weird for me. All right, so I can tell you the whole FISA pushback right now, that's real. All right, and I still have a clearance. But I've been followed, and my phone's been surveilled like it has been overseas. All right, so do I need to come down there? Can y'all still hear me in the back? Okay. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so awesome. So listen, about what to do about all this, everything that Sean said is absolutely true, okay? My border, I was actually, before I went off to college, I went to the National Guard, and they sent me to helicopter flight school, and I came back and flew Blackhawks in the Texas Guard, and I did that on the border some. That was a drug war. That was, okay? Went to college, went off, and went around the world. So I flew half the time in the Navy, and the other half I was what we call a foreign area officer, and so I went to all the Trump crap holes. I mean, I know what the bad borders look like. I've been on the worst of our allies. So, fast forward back to the beginning of my story here. I retired from the Navy right before they slammed my pension for trying to bring this vaccine mandate to the awareness of it. And a Bible study friend of mine wisely said, because I was really jaundiced with the military, spent my entire life, 5 generations in the military, it became my identity. But God used that moment to shake me up and to make sure I knew what I was standing on, Him, not anything else. And so he said, you need a new cause, Jay. He had an NGO that did child sex trafficking, took counter child sex trafficking, took intel and ex-military to chase those guys. So I said, well, we're going back to Texas. What's the intersection? They didn't know, so I went to go down to the Texas border, and I investigated that for about 6 months in 22. Well, it took me about a couple weeks to figure out that we are about a book on this country like borders I've been on in other parts of the world. We've ingested the most dangerous thing to civilization and on many continents. It's weaponized mass migration. It's already been mentioned. That is the 2030 term, and we use that intentionally to push back. Weaponized mass migration is a human bomb. All right, and so our own politicians may be caught up in their own corruption and manipulated to allow this to happen, to do voter replacement, lower the wages, whatever they're thinking, open borders, kumbaya, you know, global national companies that are bigger than nation states don't want to be checked by you and I. But whatever the reason is, the world's enemies, our near peer enemies around the world are using it. They're running in through this door, as Sean so well said. All of them. China, Russia, Iran, the Iranian terror network, all of them. And those soldiers are already here, right? So what do we do? It's crazy. So I tried to do a documentary about this thing, and I had all of the resources together. Then Uvalde shooting happened, and we covered that. We were actually in town at that time. And then suddenly, my whole enterprise went away. And so, hey, all right. I was getting hoarse anyway. So, and I'm telling you all this, and let me tell you where I'm going. I'm telling you of all this because I'm talking about doing things.
Still planning on stepping off
I'm
at 3.
talking about taking action, becoming informed, and then taking action to inform other people, to activate them, to get them to run for office, to get them to put projects together, to get them to put their energy as said. All right, so, and I'm going to tell you about my journey and how I'm doing that and what I've resolved to do. Then I'm going to give you some solutions at the end that you all can get involved with doing right now. All right, so on the border, it's as bad as African borders I've been on. I was dropped into the middle of a civil war in Africa, and a population was kind of moved around there like a bowling ball in a car in a wreck. All right, that's what we have here once it gets activated. Okay, people don't understand that the current safety we're enjoying, 100 guys with a big lighter in this, metropolitan circumference could, and then it's game on. Because mass is a quantity of its own in warfare, and it doesn't require, hey, we have all the guns they need. All right, so we are really on a thin sheet of protection here. We're really bounded by our own lawful paradigms, our own the people around us that are just deciding to obey the law. But as mentioned before, one of the speakers, when opportunity is presented, when there's a lawless moment available and no one's looking and that becomes the new norm, then people move. Man goes to his basis level and moves in that. Well, we have 15 million or plus people that just came here. I'd put any one of those people that crawled through the Darien Gap to get here up against your average Walmart shopper, okay? So it's not much of a match. And then we have our own criminality. Then we have all the illegals that were here before. And I'm not saying everybody that came over is a bad person. Most, in fact, are looking for economic opportunity. But they're being weaponized unwittingly. In the middle of those, we do know there's about 1 million. That is the instigator of this weaponized mass migration explosion, this time bomb we're sitting on right now. Okay, so those people are already. All right, so what do we do about it? It's what everybody wants to know. So I went home to D.C. after my project, after my documentary took a nosedive, and I couldn't shake it. So we retired out of D.C. Had one more son to finish high school. We wanted to finish him there, and it just wouldn't leave me. America First legal friends that helped me in the vaccine mandate fight kept pushing me to run for office. I thought, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Really? That's a Shark Tank. They don't do anything. Congress has a 15% approval rating. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. They kept pushing, and then we finally committed to pray on it. And wouldn't you know, God came back, run. Don't worry about outcomes. Don't worry about circumstances. Don't worry about resources. All those are mine. I've got those. Just run. Take the step towards me and do it. So we took another deployment. We were moving back to Texas anyways. I moved in advance of the family, went back there, and on the last day you could register in Texas, register to run for Congress on a border community, actually the worst border community, the Rio Grande Valley, Laredo area is 230 miles of border. The worst runs through that border, has historically. So, and fun part, the representative there right now has been there 20 years. He was just indicted by the DOJ. This is representative of what we have on the border for money laundering, for bribery, and for representing foreign governments over our own interest. Azerbaijan and Mexico. What else? And he put the ladies in his family out in front. They held the LLCs that the operation ran through, so they get indicted too. So this is what I'm running against. This is a caricature of what we have to carve out, to cut out this cancer in our country. All right, so we're run for office. It's been great so far. The journey's been crazy. I won my almost 20 points, and I won my runoff by almost 30 points. God is good. I walked into this thing latest day you could register, and then sputtered through the finish line of the runoff, and about the end of the last dollar there. And we've been trying to raise every since. Amazing discipleship. I can tell you folks, get active. You just have to walk towards Jesus and his cross, and he will. Bible. He doesn't need us to work. That's the formula he wants for us. That's okay. They all required those miracle recipients in the New Testament to move towards him first, to believe first. Okay, that's his requirement. That's his formula. He made the entire place, so let's activate that formula. It's there. That blessing's there for us. Our country has had that dividend. Let's move as a country again. And it doesn't take a lot of folks. Like I said, 12 disciples. Look what we have now in the world. This remnant right here can absolutely activate something awesome, and we can take it to the border and plant what we have as Christ's dividend for this country to be world, because he's not done with us yet. I firmly believe he's not done with us yet. So I told you I was going to leave you behind with something you can do right now, and it's not aggrandizement or whatever. It's just something we're doing in this campaign. I'm military minded, so my 3 platforms are land, liberty, prosperity. Okay, all of that's wrapped up in God. We've got nothing if we don't have another great revival in this country. All of it's band-aids until we do that. Okay, everything else is just a stopgap measure until we actually have the people, because government comes from inside out in our country. The French philosopher Tocqueville noted that when he came in the middle of the 1800s, and they were trying to figure out how they were going to do the next numbered republic, and they couldn't figure it out. But he reported it, and I believe that it's because then and now we still do have a church on every corner, and we had government coming from the bottom up, from man's heart outward. It's not an external control thing. This of an organization that's been God-headed, the most amazing thing in the history of the world, the history of mankind, is because of that. So we have to get back to that. So yes, land, liberty, prosperity, all that's wrapped up in God, but each one of those platforms is an operation. because I'm a military guy. So one of those things is land. That's the border. The operation is called Operation Border Lights. And this is where we all get involved. This app is coming on the street in a couple weeks. Okay, so it was Kim rather, that told me a great story that happened here about a lady whose yard backed up to the border. And she was tired of the cartel running through this border. Okay, I don't know all the details of the story, but it was beautiful that she just got tired of the cartel, huddling in her backyard and then moving into our country night after night after night. Lady by herself. She said, I'm going to do something about this. Nobody else is. I'm going to do something about this. So she drove her car up there to point at that backyard, turned on the headlights, and left it on and sat there watching her backyard with her headlights and shined a light on it. Well, what do you know? Those people went around that. And then that caught on. Her neighbors then brought their cars to their backyards, shined the lights on it, and then the people moved around that. And before you know, people coming into the country because they're shining a light on the situation. That's what we have to do in our country with God and with some of the power back in that way. So it makes all of us citizen journalists. Social networks, a community of interest that care about the border and see it as the preeminent physical threat. A picture of however you encounter the border. Okay? If you see somebody, a long line at the airport, a bunch of people with those manila folders or those up. Okay? There's a guy walking down the street. There's the ER people in my kid's school or whatever in the police office or whatever, wherever you encounter it. However you encounter the border, we need to crowdsource report this because obviously it's not being well reported. We need to chronicle how it's impacting all this. And then you can't debate that. So the next time, Lord willing, if I'm in Congress and we're debating a bad border bill again, and Mitch McConnell's saying, yeah, we need to do all this and make this border disaster permanent, well, I can say, well, I can snap poll this community of interest of 300,000 people, Mitch, and ask them if you're 5 things that are terrible or what they want. And they'll tell me right now. So it's bringing the people's voice directly into policy discussions used as a cudgel for what it is that DC's broke. Part of this journey, I've been up to DC, now a targeted district by the National Republican Congressional Committee. It's a top, now that because of what God's done up through the primary now. And so I went there and I talked to those guys. And I don't play ball. I didn't change my talking points from in front of the people to in front of them. I wasn't somebody that they could utilize in their shenanigans, because those folks don't get the things that we get. I call them the status quo party. Okay, they've got the rig in the game. They don't want to change a thing, and the rest of it is just a false dichotomy, right? And the other party, so there's the status quo party. The other party is the We the People party, and the representation is exactly opposite. There's probably 40 congressmen that are representing We the People at any one time. So the numbers just don't work out for us. So we have to flip that model, and we have to bring our voice into those discussions and say, hey, look, this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. Everywhere I've worked in the world, and I worked in the worst places, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is in effect. The top of that pyramid is security. So if the other village is coming to burn your village down, it doesn't matter what you think left or right of you with your neighbors about anything else except living. You only have to have living in common, period. That's the existential moment we're at right now, in our front lawns. And we can't wait until we feel the hot breath of that problem in our faces to do something about it. So we absolutely have to activate right now and gather this voice and demand our leadership to have the biggest mass deportation in the history of this country. It has to be now. It seems crazy, but it has to be now. We have to start gathering that consistency because it is so lethal what we're sitting on right now. It is so imminent, and it is about to go off. And we can do it. People think, oh, that's impossible. No, it's not. We're America. We're the big, country that shows. Okay, so in my deportation plan is simple. We put out a call and say, hey, go to one of these surge within 3 months, show up and report. Okay, if you don't show up and report, then we're going to chase you down with ICE. But if you show up and report, hey, look, we invited you in here. We didn't vote on it, but we're going to be big about it and own this. Deportation says we're probably going to deport you. But if you do that, you get to try again. And the beginning of that line begins at a U.S. consulate out of this country. We're going to fly you back to yours or a third country who will take you that's safe. We're going to give you a little something along for your trouble for coming here. I mean, if this does not go kinetic and pear-shaped, in 12 months we can't afford the interest on the debt. Pay them to get out of here now. And I'm not talking about tremendous amounts of money. We're talking about third world nations, all right? So we give a period of time that they show up and report, all right? Because the bad guys aren't going to self-identify. No, I mean, I give the analogy, hey, it's like we had your children's school open for over 3 years, and we have good hearts, and come in here and use our hallways where our kids are going to class. The analogy, of course, the kids are us, U.S. citizens. But then suddenly we realize, oops, there's bad people in here. Would all the bad people please raise your hand? Well, they're not going to. Right, so for the other half, we go and hustle on the way out the door, and we're loud about that. Take a stop at Gitmo for a period of time, okay? Whatever it takes, and we have to do that. We can do it. That's another plan of action thing. So we've got this. So things to do. We've got this. We Operation Border Lights. It's coming. Okay, we're all going to become citizen journalists. We're going to gather this voice, and we're going to organize, like Sean said. And you can't debate the pictures. Okay, you can't debate this body that is interested in this one thing, this great conversation about this one community of interest. You can't. It doesn't matter what your politics are. So that's land, Operation Border Lights. Liberty. We have something that just hit the street. It's called Operation Freedom Works, but we called it in the App Store Commander Furman app. This is a way to go after and get the election secured. This is a way to volunteer in gamified. So everything you could do for election integrity or for volunteering for a campaign, it's in this app, the Commander Furman app, in your store right now in the app stores. So that is an act way. This is just what we're doing, and I'm sharing with you what we're doing and ask you to get involved in these things right now because there's no other moment. You need to become an evangelist and do these things. You need to do these things like never before. Recognize we've been addled. We've been addled by COVID. We've been addled by all these other attacks we're under right now. We're under spiritual warfare, all right? So we have to push through all of that, okay? Incredibly important. So those are two things we're doing right now. Running for office, never thought I would do it. So go county, 8 out of the 32 precincts of my slice of that county have actual precinct chairs in the Republican Party. That's pathetic. I mean, of course we're going to get run over. You know, everybody wants their democracy for free, and it defends the most important things that we have, and it was designed for that. All right, so we can't just let it go because all those special interests up in D.C., the status quo party, they've gobbled that up. All right, so need to get active, need to do those things, run for office, wherever it is, at whatever level, get involved in your communities. Done right now, get closer than 6 feet apart. Get to know people, get into community. All right, so these apps are things that we can focus and do that through. That's what we're doing right now. I encourage you to do your thing. If you would, though, tell people about these apps, okay? You can download Commander Furman app right now, and then I'm going to deploy the Operation Border Lights app that part of. So we can be a massive voice to those folks. And if I win or lose, that's something we're going to keep going in this business. And then I'm going to stop talking, give you the awkward pause to go do that. Commander Furman. Yeah, so my name's F-U-R-M-A-N, like the university. F-U-R-M-A-N. Commander Furman app. All right. Cool. Hey, we've gamified it for the kids. You can be on the leaderboard. Everything you do in there, we give you points. Give you 30 more seconds to tell your neighbor. Be vocal, be bold. Something new, or something new and something you're doing. A lot of y'all have very...
First, turn to your neighbors. If you're sitting at a table with two people, get off your phone. Maybe you're doing the app still. That's okay. Finish the app. And then turn to your neighbor and share. Great job, Commander.
Okay, all right, time's up. In the back with the black Trump hat. What are you going to do? Yeah, the guy looking behind himself. what what are you going to do different today? Keep going, keep going. See, I'm going to be
All right,
that
testing,
teacher,
testing,
that
testing.
instructor that just randomly picks
Do you want to
people.
know what you're going to tell us? What you're going to do? Come on, guys. Let's bring it. You guys are awesome back here, by the way. Wait. What did you say?
Take action.
Oh, that's huge, you guys, because
Oh, I mean, just people know what's going on. Let people know about what happened here. Because the more people we get involved, the stronger we're.
well
There-
said. Thank you. So good.
Awesome, thank you. There it is. All right, who else? Who else has something? Raise a hands. Who's got something?
Voter rolls in Arizona and make sure that I am removed.
How about that? Yes.
Going once. Oh, Dolores Womack Williams.
Well, I'm going to start making calls to Republicans in my area.
I'm going to say too. She said it all, and he got a thumbs up. So good, so good.
That's awesome. I tell you what, guys, look. Oh,
One
we got
more?
more, please.
Tracy Denby.
Flyers, and I didn't print the backside for some reason, but now I'm going to
Absolutely evangelize that span influence. I think this is, maybe I should say, and you just keep on walking. That's on you. And for me, he's patient, but he also is time bounded too. He gives us a time to move, and there's not. One last thing, books by Eric Metaxas recently. Anybody know who that author is? And the seminal author to you. So he writes a lot, and then recently wrote about Germany, specifically interwar Germany. And he was talking about the church there, their remnant, the Lutheran church, of course, because it's Martin Luther's Germany. And what really hit me, and I know a lot of you know this story, but I'm just going to leave you with it because it just kind of just punctuates. 1/3 of that Lutheran church, the greater Big C church, supported Hitler. Okay, so I don't know what they were doing. Okay, and crazy. All right, we know some churches like that here in our home country that might support Hitler. Okay, so 1/3 supported, and then 1/3 were the Dietrich Bonhoeffer following ones. Okay, and Dietrich Bonhoeffer was the Billy Graham, if you will, of Martin Luther Germany. And so 1/3 were pushing back really hard against the Hitlerization, if you will, or Nazization of Germany. And pay attention here, guys. All right, I'm going to take a little side here. Do you think that America could ever become as bad as Nazi Germany? Did we not just all experience COVID and the mind meld that was? I wondered if America could before COVID. I have no doubt that we could now. All right, that 1/3 in the middle of those churches, those Lutheran churches in Germany, sat on their hands and protected their tax status and said, they're not coming for me yet. I'm going to self-protect. That 1/3, Eric Metaxas and I both agree, they're responsible for the Holocaust. They're responsible for the terrible fallout from World War II that we're still feeling today. All these world bodies, that's the dividend. Children. So let's not be that here in America. We need our own World War II response right now, an all-of-country, all-out response. We all need our figurative victory gardens and our scrap metal collections and going to the local food, whatever, okay? We need that level of effort in this last minute that we have as a country to push back. We need that might. And you know what? We outnumber them, okay? So these numbers today, I'm not bothered. Drop right here today, turn into a waterfall. Thank you for your time. I appreciate
Such
you.
a warrior.
Thank you.
And you can drop that mic right over here. Okay. We've got one more speaker before we make our march to the border. And live America Alliance. We have broken bread today. We've had table talks, yes, and we have prayed, and we're going to go to the border, march to the border, meet with Mexico on the other side that is having an event. How do I say that with further ado? What's that? How do you say that? What's next? Really? Arizona, and he's taking the place today, and he's like perfect to take the place. Veterans for Child Rescue. Craig got hit with a pretty bad flu, so he is not with us, but he said, you know what, I'm going to send my best guy. This guy is awesome, and I had the privilege of spending some time in Tulsa, Oklahoma with Clay Clark and General Flynn and Forrest Seeley. Forrest is a rock star. We are touching on human trafficking and what we can do to stop it. Forrest?
Thank you, Kim. For Kim, she's done a great job, her and her team, of bringing this all together. She's been a gracious host, and I don't think we can thank her enough. My name is, I like to set that because sometimes I get asked about my military service. Craig Sawyer, older than I was, his path took him into the military, and my path took me into college sports. And so my journey took me through banking, and so now I run the business side of our organization. And so how we were founded was Craig, after his career in the military and the Air Marshal Service and some other things, diplomatic security and high threat mobile security, he was having a cigar with an intelligence officer in Conroe, Texas. And this is an hour north of Houston. This is where we grew up. And this gentleman was telling him about human trafficking of kids. And Craig is looking at different countries. And you mean to here, the evil is worse here in our country than what I've been chasing? He said, yes. So Craig did some research. He wanted to do a documentary because in his work in the intelligence community, the best thing you can do when somebody is running this subject, and he thought it was going to be easy. Well, it wasn't. It's a really long conversation with me. He says, I want you to be on our board, and you need to pray about it, you need to think about it. I'm supposed to do this. And the reason I thought this, and there's a lot of people that have spoke today, there's a lot of people that are here today, they did what I did. Our whole lives, we went to school, raised a family, you know, earned a living, and every time we'd see something on TV, we'd say, oh, they're going to fix that. They're going to take care of that. And one day I had a guy that I was speaking with, and he said, you know what? I realized that we are the they, and with me. And so for us to fix this country, the people here, the people that we touch, we have to fix. Veterans for Child Rescue. We made a movie called Contraland. You can watch it at contralandmovie.com for free. It's a Hollywood family. And I highly encourage you to do that, okay? Smart people. We talk about Alfred Kinsey. We talk about his role. First time I saw the documentary was the people that we arrested. And these were people that were sitting next to a bad guy. These are people that were hiding in plain sight. And so in essence, that's what we're raising to run the organization. We also run counter-trafficking operations with law enforcement. And I want to share their efficacy. So Sean, thank you for your team members that you lend us. So we have 2 podcasts we're currently working on. So we're kind of a media company. What's going on. And it's amazing to me how difficult of a topic, when I talk to people, when they hear what I do, a lot of times I'll get a thank you for what you do, but when we go to talk about the meat of it, they don't want to talk about it, okay? So, kind of give you a little bit about our efficacy. 28 predator arrests, and Jay Furman, by the way, we had 27 till yesterday. We had that was because we have a 100% conviction rate. So we had one in Starr County. It took us We just finished an operation in the Nashville area. We had 1 arrest, and we have 70 warrants that we're processing right now with law enforcement. So we along with law enforcement. Now, one of the things that's important for you guys to understand, and this is something that I like to talk about, is you know, if you're an Air Force pilot, and if you're flying, any Air Force folks here? Okay, so, well, are there any pilots? Any for the target? And I mean that figuratively, because right after we secured these warrants, Channel 5, somebody being attacked, you need to take a moment, don't immediately buy into the narrative, and you just say, okay, what did these guys do? Who? Because this is what they're trying to do. They don't want you inspecting their world. They don't want you catching bad guys, because we cast a wide net and you just never know who you might reel in. 2 years ago, we picked up a guy that was the brother of an officer in Zapata. And our host officer knew this guy. And we picked him up, we arrested him. Guy was about 6'7", probably 400 pounds. And all I could think of was, you could have been playing pro football, you could have a good life, but instead you're down here trying to have sex with a 14-year-old girl. And that just broke. What I've come to really study is, I came up with this chaos equals wealth and power. And where did I come up with that? Because I kept asking myself, why does this happen? Why is harming at an industrial scale larger than all pro sports combined? Okay, I want y'all to think about that. All pro sports. So I'm from Houston, Texas, and Rockets fan, you know, Texans fan, more of an Astros fan than anything. But I got memorabilia that store, I see evidence of the sports. They don't see it, they don't realize it. And then when you try to tell somebody about it, they don't want to hear it. Now, what happens is then somebody's loved one, or it's touching already, okay? Now, in my chaos equals wealth and power, why did I come up with that? Well, the first president that I voted for was Reagan. Okay, I was in high school, and I voted for Reagan for 2 reasons. Number 1, my parents voted for him, and number 2, he got shot and he lived. So I thought he was a badass. That was it. That was my measurement. As I got older, I better understood. But every election cycle, I would learn a little bit more about why I voted for whoever I voted for. But one thing that always stuck in my mind, and everybody here has recognized this, there's always that one new person in which they told you they were going to do X. You get put on a committee, whatever it is that they do, and then a vote comes up, and they do the exact opposite of what they represented to us. And so we would get around you know, the dinner table and try to figure it out, and we never could come up with a logical answer. And so ultimately, in thinking of this chaos equals wealth and power, I came to blood of this evil that we're witnessing throughout. And so I look at our policymakers, and I think there are 4 positions that our policymakers hold as it pertains to that. So we're doing the opposite of what they're saying. That, to me, is the best answer until somebody comes up with an answer that is different. So to me, ending child trafficking, taking away that lifeblood of evil, he has no power. He gets it from us. We yield our power to him, and we're doing it through the children, because the children are the most precious and innocent. And Satan's already lost this war, so he's just trying to wreck us because he knows where he's going. So that's where I've derived that from. So earlier we talked about 5th generation warfare. We are under attack. We've been in a war for a long time. We didn't know that. And we talk about all the time is absolute power corrupts absolutely. Power to our policymakers, and we need to bring it back. So a lot of what we're hearing today is about taking that power back. Now, 5th gen warfare, one thing that I would recommend y'all do is General Flynn and Boone Cutler wrote, I think they're about to release Series 4, the 4th session, but they wrote a book called The Citizen's Guide to 5th Generation Warfare. You can get it on Amazon. I think you get it directly from them. I highly recommend you read this. For you military folks, it was written like a field manual. It's the size of a field manual, okay? The first generation is a general one. The second one, I think, is AI. And the third one, I can't remember. But church, yeah, we got the one about the church. That's the next one. So I highly recommend that you read that. I also recommend that you read the 45 Communist Goals that was read into Congress. I think it was December 7th or 3rd, 1963, somewhere around there. Read those, the Communist Goals, because with everything that we're seeing happen is written, it was predicted back in 1963, and this is important. And a lot of the folks from Vietnam, they probably understand this better than anybody. And when I talk to folks that are from other countries, they look at us and they're like, why don't they get it? You know, here I am as a witness to what's happening now. I was there when it happened in my... I understand your concern, and I applaud you for standing up here and sharing your story. The other thing is there was a gentleman by the name of Yuri Bezmenov. Anybody hear of Yuri Bezmenov? Okay, there's about a 13-minute video. There's a longer video, but I think it's the 13-minute video on YouTube. He's predicted a lot of what's happening in the communist agenda, and that is infiltrate our schools, infiltrate our news media, destroy the family unit. Okay, these things are important because he said, we'll never beat America. Russia will never beat America. People always ask me, how can you help? One of the things that I tell people is, and everybody says this, and I talk to people a lot. For me, and I've met a lot of people that are great prayer warriors. My mother is a great prayer warrior. There are people they're praying. You love standing in their presence. You want them to say the blessing. You want them to pray over your operation. They're great. But I do is I'm a runner. I go run in the woods. Sometimes I'll walk in the woods. I'll even take my shoes off so I'm grounded. And I talk to God like he's there. Sometimes I'm mad. I'm mad as hell. I try to be respectful. What I'm going to do is have a connection with him because I'm looking for what is it that you want me to do? How do I run the organization? How do I run my family? How do I have a relationship with my children and my wife? All these things. How do I take care of the environment? You know, I talk about the environment all the time. Just to take care of the trash that we're seeing. Southern California, if you go here, San Bernardino, LA, the trash is horrendous. It's ridiculous, and I have a real problem with that. So I pray about those certain things. I have a list of people that I pray for. I have a list of things that I pray about, and that's what I talk to God about. But before I do that, when I start, I spend about 5 to 10 minutes having a grateful heart. It's a dark world to be in this fight, okay? We have no choice, though. You could sit there and say, I spend time being grateful for the things that I have. You know, I'm grateful for the air that I breathe, for beautiful blue sky, for the trees, things like that. And that helps me get in the right frame of mind to talk to God. And then I pray for the things that I need to pray for. And I always ask for him, and I will tell you this, I quit asking for patience. People always say they want patience. Well, my life was getting pretty hard. And I laughed. I was talking to my mother, and she says, yeah, I told you, be careful of what you ask for. So I quit praying for patience. Every now and then I said, God, I need a break. And he says, I'll give it to you when I think you need it. So if any of you, like I said, I don't feel special about what I do as far as praying is concerned, but if any of you ever want to talk about it, I'll be happy to just give you some pointers, give you some ideas. But I do encourage you to have a relationship with God because we need, and when you connect with him over time, what you'll find is that you will be dialed in. It's almost like an AM radio for me. It's like I'm communicating with him. I'm getting information. I call it my download. And sometimes it comes at such a rush, information it's almost overwhelming, and it's almost like I'm dialing the AM radio and then I get off channel, then I'm dialing back in. But when if you ever want to know how to pray, I'm happy to disciple with you on that. As running an organization, they need money, so if you have the means, I do encourage you that. The other thing is volunteer. I get so many people that want to kick indoors. There's a lot of door kickers here. If you're in the military, for every man that you have on the ground, there's 10 people supporting them. I need somebody to do. People do not understand what it takes to. We get audited every year, for example. I have a special accounting that I have to utilize because we're a nonprofit. I have to be registered in 22 states and where we have to be audited. I have to be registered in all 50 states to do to receive donations. There's paperwork galore. I have people that help me do that. But when I ask somebody who wants to kick indoors to help me with paperwork, they look at me like I've got two heads. But this is important for you to understand because there are a lot of people that aren't door kickers. What can you do? And it's not just my organization. There's plenty, Kim, you've got plenty of the other speakers. And I say this, one of my favorite quotes by Martin Luther King, everybody talks about I have a dream speech. I don't think that's his greatest speech. I think it's a street well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. So if you're going to help a nonprofit organization or if you're going to help anybody here in the political arena, you do it like it's the greatest thing that you've ever done. Okay? If you want to make a mark in the world, do what you do as best as you possibly can. No matter if it's cleaning toilets or if it's kicking indoors. Okay? There's one other thing that I wanted to share with you guys because I get asked a lot about other people in the fight, other organizations. I don't really comment because I only know my little bubble. There's sometimes I will, but for the most part I don't. And the reason I don't is because I notice people what they're looking for because I get intel all the time that's bad. Oh, that's so-and-so, he's lazy, or they don't really do what they say they're doing. Whatever negative energy. And going back to when somebody does something great, they get attacked. So I want you guys to quit listening to the noise. Okay, and I'm going to just read these last two things that goes with this. And this is what's funny. It's like I was thinking about Kim. I had this little joke. It says, why should I be upset with Kim if she's friends with the Starbelly Sneetches? Who cares? People tell me things all the time. I'm like, who cares? What are they doing? I don't care what you're telling me. What are they doing? And so I read Ephesians 4:31 this morning at 3:45 a.m. Wrath and anger and clamor and evil, speaking, be put away from you with malice. And Proverbs 20:19, he that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth with him that flattered with his lips. So quit listening to the noise. If somebody's doing righteous work, it doesn't matter if they're a sinner. We are all sinners. It doesn't matter.
So good, Forrest Seeley. That was so good. Love you, Forrest. So good. Yeah, thank you. It's happened on our watch.
Oh, okay. FYI, I did notice there was a typo. It's V Victor 4 Charlie Rango.org. V4C.
V4CR.org. Say that 4 times. Okay, fantastic. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's give him one more round of applause, please. That's Forrest Seeley. All right. So it is about time, but I want you all to know you've got resources that are being passed out to every single one of you. Scotty, what an amazing day this has been. We're to thank, don't we?
We do, and we're just so blessed. Look at the weather. Could we have gotten any better day than this? And to the 100 people that came here today, my hat's off to you. You could have been doing a lot of things on this beautiful the facility over here. There's a basketball game around. I wanted to change and go play, but here, and we're going to go to the border and we're going to wave it and interact with the Mexican just how many times in life do you get to do something like this?
Pretty
Kim?
amazing. Pretty amazing. Heard a lot to chew on today, a lot to digest at our truly received nourishment today. This is really, really important. It's nourishment to activate the soul. We are mind, body, and soul. We are not human doings. We are human beings. And where does our identity come from? We said it in the beginning, it comes from our Creator. It comes from God. And that's where our sovereignty comes from. So, without our sponsors who made this event possible, and for our donators, we are so, so, so grateful. And you can still donate. We have lots of events coming up. You base like this. Scott, 2 sponsors. I got to mention them because these guys were patriots, Scotty. Like, are these guys like truthers? Care about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, in fact, they set up their law firm to assist their people that they bail, have really done nothing. I don't want to get into the good police and the bad police. We all know there's good and bad of everything, but they're January 6th. Can you say J6?
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
they're really good guys.
And Abel's bail as well.
Yeah, great guys. They turned their bail bond business into a law firm business. So great entrepreneurs.
Smart guys, really smart. And for all of our vendors today, we want to say thank you so, so much for being with us. Our volunteers, guys, we're not done. We are about to march to the border. And, you know, thank you to all of our police officers who are here, our sheriffs that are here today. We're so grateful for you guys. We're a stand, and we just love you, and we want you to know that we stand beside you. Okay, they're going to be with us on this journey as we walk to the border today. They want to make sure it's safe, that it truly is a prayerful, peaceful, constitutional action march. So let's talk about what it's going to look like. Are we ready?
I just want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
The last people I thought I'd be thanking in the last decade is CNN. But you guys know what?
Yeah.
They've been here working hard all
They
day.
have.
And I believe these guys are going to use the footage
For
to tell a real story, not to slam and jam us.
Come on, CNN.
We're not going to be called white Christo fascists and white nationalists. I think they're really going to give us a fair shake. So thanks to CNN. God, I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah, and Robert from Chula Vista, who's been live streaming for us, we could not have done this without you. So all of our live streamers, we're so grateful for you today. A big shout out for the live streamers. So good. All of our amazing speakers are going to be here afterwards. So we're going to, Lonnie, Mr. Lonnie, is Lonnie in the house? All right, so Lonnie is making sure, where's Lonnie? Oh, Lonnie will be leading our march today. So Lonnie was here last night. We were here putting up the stage with the team last night. I think we got in, what time did you get in?
1 o'clock.
It was a long night for all of us. But we got the banner up, we got the stage up, and it's all about teamwork and coming together. So Lonnie, we're about to march to the border. We're going to have communion. We're going to break bread with Mexico. Mexico right now is waiting for us. They're there. They just had their event. We're going to pray. We're going to declare. And, you know, Forrest said something that was really powerful. And I want to piggyback off of that, Lonnie. He said, words have power. It was something along those lines that left in the space that what we speak has power. So I want us to remember that today we're going to go to declare. Today we're going to go to declare his kingdom on this earth that is in heaven. We're going to declare victory, that the battle is won. We're going to take territory. And for all of you in Canada, we're coming. We're coming, and we are with you.
Who's ready to go to the border? That's what I'm talking about. So what we're going to do, folks, we're going to read over there at the large flag right in the parking lot. We're going to meet over there. We're going to cross the parking lot at the Ross parking at the building over there. We're going to go to the border itself, to the wall, and then we're going to proceed on down to the crossing area. So, all right, so everybody, we need to meet over there. As soon as we wrap up, we're going to go over there in a single file so that we can show our solidarity. If you'd like to take some of the flags off the table and carry those as we go on our march, just follow me and we'll be in the front, and we're going to take care of you guys.
Awesome, Lonnie. So good. So it's really important that you take your personal belongings. So if you have wallets or purses, take that with you. That's important. We are going to have people that are staying here because we're coming back. We're not done after that. We're marching back. Then we're going to have worship and then the closing. And it's going to be pretty powerful what we're closing with. Now, for those of you that are driving, do you have a question in regards to driving? 10-minute walk. 10-minute walk. Yeah, 10-minute walk. It's short, it's sweet, it's going to be a great walk. We've been sitting for a long time. Time to get those hip flexors moving, yeah? Okay, fantastic. So if you're going to drive, you can take the road that is right out, the main road along all of Ross, and just follow it straight down until you get to the San Ysidro border crossing. And just park right there in that parking lot. You'll see us, okay? So, my freedom-loving Americans and Mexicans who are probably listening, and Canadians, it's time. It's time for us to take our power back. It's time for us to stand in freedom. We, the people, coming together to march. We're going to pray. We're going to declare. We're going to take this land back. All right, here we go. And music up. Let's take that Patriot music and let's play it loud. Let's declare and let's go. Woo! Here we go. Head on over to the big flag. The big flag.
Man, you're good. Do you have an help or anything?
Working on it.
Working on it? Yeah.
A big thank you to Michael Best. Michael Best has been leading in worship music today. So powerful. Michael, do you think you can, as we're gathering, will you give us a powerful worship song? You still got that in you? I know you do. Let's do it. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll transition over, and Michael is going to play some worship music. Let's do it.